Welcome everyone to the third session of our three-part series focused on channel management and the science of hiring and developing channel partners. Today we'll be focusing on telling, or more accurately compelling, partner value propositions. By the end of this webinar, you will be able to identify the elements of your partner value proposition, uncover your partner's reasons to invest and change, describe how to drive ongoing partner commitments to invest and execute, and secure the commitments necessary to increase channel success. Now let's move ahead and meet the two channel experts who will be conducting this webinar today. First, we have Philip Moon. Philip is the Executive Vice President of Training and Development at Channel Enablers. He has a worldwide reputation as a foremost subject matter expert, speaker, and trainer. With over 27 years of experience in the high-tech industry, Philip has conducted sales, management, channels, and leadership development programs for leading IT organizations around the globe, including SAP, HP, IBM, Computer Associates, Hitachi Data Systems, Symantec, Oracle, and many others. Also joining Philip is Joby Pearson, who's the Vice President of Sales at Channel Services Group. Joby has over 22 years of experience solution selling in small business to enterprise business size accounts, 10 years in business process outsourcing, and 17 years in sales management. His team of business development managers and program strategists develop and deliver marketing campaigns designed to increase revenue and product awareness within reseller and distribution channels for technology companies. In the past 10 years, Joby has helped design and execute partner sales programs, go-to-market campaigns, and launch marketing initiatives for the world's largest technology companies. Because there are a large number of people on this call, please make sure that you have your phone muted. We also have this set up as a one-way audio broadcast only, but we are definitely able to take your questions and comments via web chat. For those of you that are new to live meeting systems who want to send a question or a comment, simply click on the chat open box at the right hand of your screen and type in your question there. At the end of the webinar, we'll have enough time for questions and answers, and we'll work through as many of those questions posted as possible. I see we already have some questions coming in. So if you have a question or comment, please feel free anytime during this webinar to send those to us. And now I would like to hand this off to Phil to begin the educational webinar, Compelling Partner Investment Propositions. Take it away, Phil.
Well, thanks very much, Tina, and welcome to everybody. This is Philip Moon speaking to you from Melbourne, Australia, where it's early morning, and there's a bit of a storm starting to happen outside, so if you hear any bangs and crashes, please don't panic. It's probably at my end. For those of you who have attended the other webinars in this series, you'll recognize this slide. It outlines the key business issue that the webinar series is built to discuss and to address. And just for newcomers, a quick recap of where we've come from. In the high-tech industry, some 80% of revenues of indirect channel revenue typically comes from about 20% of the vendor's partners, and that leaves about 60% of partners neither as productive nor as profitable as either party would want. And this is an unusual metric across other industries as well. It's not the case in almost any other mature industry. So together we set out to ask the question, why is this? And the hypothesis, if you like, or the three main reasons for this forms the topics of our joint webinar series. And the first one was that high-tech vendors have either too much or too little customer coverage by their partners. So too much coverage against a specific market means that the partners won't make money, and their margins will be eroded competing against each other, and there'll be a lot of conflict for all parties. And of course, too little coverage means that they're going to miss their sales targets because they're not covering the market opportunity. And that was the topic of the first webinar in the series. The second webinar talked about the fact that vendors recruit often too many of the wrong partners. It's much easier to say yes to a partner who shows a lot of interest and wants to join up with your organization than it is to go out and really look for and then recruit the partners that you really need that are going to be the most successful. The third part, and the topic for today, is that sometimes the partner investment proposition is weak compared to competitors, or perhaps compared to internal alternatives for the partner, such as selling their own services. And even if that value proposition has been strong enough to get them on board, it may be that that value doesn't remain there, and so people are not committed to managing partners to ensure that they remain committed to execute. Joby, I understand you're going to briefly summarize the series so far.
Oh, sorry about that. I was muted. So yeah, so as Phil just pointed out, we cover the channel coverage and the discipline to recruiting the right partners, and then today talking about the partner investment propositions. I mostly just wanted to point out that these webinars are available on both of our websites, both channelenablerz.com as well as csgchannels.com. So on Channel Enablers, you go to the Partner Management Resource Center and then online training to view the previous webinars. And for CSG Channels, you can go to our website, click on the Login Register, or hover over the Login Register tab and click on Webinars. And that will get you to the previous recorded versions if you missed them. Thanks.
Okay, thanks Joby. Well, there are three parts to what I plan to cover today. First, I'm going to talk about getting partners to come on board. So that could be about recruiting new partners, but really the concept is just as relevant to existing partners too, where you need them to make some investment or change. So it could be taking on a new product, it could be investing in more marketing and sales capacity, or it could even be meeting your enablement requirements. Then we're going to talk about identifying the partner's reasons to invest in your business, because remember, they've got a lot of choice about where they put their money. And third, and just as important, we're going to talk about how do you keep them committed. So the first part of getting partners on board is really to explain the market opportunity. For new partners and existing partners, it's really about gaining their interest. And we found that many vendors don't really equip their channel salespeople with the information that the channel sales folks need to demonstrate this to their partners. And we covered this in the first webinar in the series. So if you missed that, as Joby mentioned, you can get that on our websites. Part of this market screening exercise involves calculating the economic potential of the candidate market segments. So if you can calculate or estimate a number, this is going to help you to compare this subsegment to other subsegments and to more clearly identify areas of the greatest potential. Now in turn, this may help you to justify the commitment of resources such as marketing funds or to encourage new partners to come on board, and of course to existing partners to invest and skill themselves up, perhaps to develop better solutions or invest in demand creation. Because of course if partners don't make money, they simply won't invest, and if they don't invest, the market opportunity won't be covered by the channel. Now if your partners are small to mid-sized partners, the typical local VAR style business, and it's probably still the most common partner type out there, it's likely that they won't have access to the kinds of market research data that a vendor will. And such partners, they have got limited resources. Their cash is always tight, so they need to know where to invest, and they'll really value information from vendors that helps them to understand the size of the economic opportunity and to pinpoint where they can maximize their return on investment. Remember, you're competing for the partner's mind share and investment. Vendors promote their products and services to resellers as a source of revenue and profit, and they've got to compete against any other kinds of income that a partner might produce, such as selling their own services or different lines of businesses, perhaps from a competitor. Or it could be as simple as just putting their money in the bank. So if you can help your partners understand where they can make money, clearly it's going to differentiate your company, and partners will invest to help you cover the market opportunity. Now, in my experience, sadly, this is an area where vendors could do a lot better job of equipping their channel salespeople to sell and influence partners. Senior managers often talk to channel enablers about their value proposition, and they ask us to train their people to do a better job of communicating and explaining the value proposition. And that's fine. However, when I dig a little deeper and ask people to explain their value proposition to us first of all, I've often found that it really doesn't have any numbers or proof to back it up. More often than not, the marketing department has lots of that kind of information, but it's just not ending up in the hands of the channel sales force in a form that they can use in the field. Probably some of you out there will recognize that situation. I'll be interested in your comments and questions. So what are partners looking for, most partners? In our experience, and we've done quite a lot of research on this, partners are looking for value that's well beyond the product. It's not always about promises of the most money. In fact, partners are often quite wary of vendors who come to them with promises of the big payday, because they know that often these promises of a big payday or market exclusivity will just go away. So partners value consistency and a fair return much more than the promise of a big payday, because that way they can manage their investment risk. And most partners have had experience of vendors promising big things but failing to follow through or to be consistent. They also want to know that they've got synergy with vendors. So that means that they're focused in the same areas, the same kind of target markets. They're looking for similar end-user customers, so they have the same kind of overall competitive positioning. The majority of VAR-style partners know that their profitability depends upon their installed base. So they'll guard that jealously. So they'll want to know how your products are going to fit into their installed base. Is it going to buy them a lot of customer satisfaction problems, or will it help them to satisfy their own customers' needs? And it's not just executive buy-in that's important. The sales force inside a partner will also decide. We've seen examples where executives have said that they would invest in a vendor or go with a vendor, and the sales force will say, no way, because it's actually much too hard to sell. It's adding a burden of time or complexity to a salesperson's life. So the salespeople will ask, can I sell this? Is it going to help me differentiate? Will it cost me time? And of course, time is the salesperson's most precious resource. And for some of them, they have to ask the vendor, will you be competing with me? Because the vendors have multiple routes to market, and sometimes their own direct sales force is out there also competing in the market. There are, in fact, many flavors of value proposition. The executives will be interested mainly in financial matters and overall business fit, and the middle management will focus on how your two companies can engage together and work smoothly, and of course, can you help them meet their targets and fit in with how they do business? And as I mentioned, the sales guy wants to know, are you going to make my job harder? So let's imagine that you've got the answer to all those questions that were on the previous slide. So it means you've got a great story to tell. Is that all there is to it? Well, I'd like to tell you a story, a true story from a time when I was working in a vendor role and vendor organization, and I was considering an applicant for a channel sales role. And the guy that I was looking at, we'll call him Bruce because that was in fact his name, and I checked this guy's references very carefully. He seemed like a really smart guy, but any hiring manager, you want to check their references. So I actually called the managing director of one of his former partners from a previous vendor role, and this managing director told me a story. He said that this guy Bruce was actually probably the best channel sales guy that they had ever worked with. He said that Bruce brought them so many good ideas for helping them to improve their business and expand their market reach. So he really was a great guy to work with, and they'd made a lot of money out of their association with Bruce. But then the managing director of this business said, but that's not how our relationship began.